7 hidden wounds every man carries, and how women trigger them. Hook opening. Some women don't chase, and yet they're never forgotten. She may pass through a man's life like a shadow moving across stone, leaving no words, no plea, no confrontation. And still, her silence burns deeper than any storm. What lingers is not her body, not her smile, but the mirror she held up without knowing. The mirror that forced him to see the hidden fractures he spends his life concealing. The archetypal setup: every man walks into love carrying wounds that were cut long before a woman ever touched his hand. Wounds etched in childhood silence, in a father's absence, in a mother's unreachable embrace. Jung called it the shadow, the dark, unclaimed pieces of the self, exiled from consciousness, buried beneath pride and control. And when a woman appears, especially one who embodies her own mystery, her own unshaken center, she does not create these wounds. She awakens them. Her very presence calls out the unconscious architecture he has spent years defending. First turning point: the wound of invisibility. The first wound hides in his fear of being unseen. As a boy, he learned that attention must be earned, that love was conditional, that silence meant rejection. In the adult man, this transforms into a relentless hunger for validation, for proof that he matters. When a woman doesn't chase, when she does not bend herself to soothe his insecurities, she becomes the figure of every withheld embrace he once begged for. She doesn't insult him. She doesn't argue. She simply doesn't collapse. And in that space, his wound of invisibility screams louder than words. Second turning point: the wound of powerlessness. Another wound lies in his terror of losing control. The Stoics taught that no man is ever master of another, only of himself. Yet most men still confuse love with conquest. He believes if he can direct her feelings, her attention, her devotion, he will finally be safe. But the feminine in her most empowered form does not yield to domination. She resists being owned, not through rebellion, but through presence. She smiles when she chooses, withdraws when she chooses, opens when she chooses. And the more she lives in this sovereignty, the more his wound of powerlessness is revealed. He feels the trembling of the boy who once begged to be heard, who once had no choice. Third turning point: the wound of worthlessness. Beneath the armor of success, status, or even charm, lies the wound of worthlessness. A voice that whispers, "If she truly saw me, she would leave." Every joke, every performance, every attempt at stoic indifference masks a deep suspicion that he is unworthy of devotion. The feminine doesn't have to say a word to awaken this. Sometimes it is her silence after his boast, her lack of response to his performance, her refusal to laugh when he demands laughter. She does not affirm the mask. She sees the hollowness beneath it. And in that moment, the man stands naked before his own reflection, terrified of the truth he cannot admit. The dance of projection. This is the ancient game of projection. He does not see her as she is. He sees his mother's distance, his father's shadow, his own forgotten tears. He loves her not as a woman, but as a symbol, as an archetype carrying his anima, his inner feminine, locked away in the vaults of the unconscious. When she withdraws, he accuses her of cruelty. When she embraces, he fears losing her. When she is silent, he imagines betrayal. Every move she makes is filtered through the theater of his unhealed wounds. And still, she remains herself, calm, whole beyond the story. The feminine archetype as mirror. What a man calls rejection is often only reflection. What he calls betrayal is the unveiling of his own projection. What he calls cruelty is the refusal of the feminine to carry his unlived pain for him. The empowered woman knows this, even if she cannot name it. She feels it in her bones. She understands that the fire in his eyes is not truly about her. It is the collision of his soul with his shadow. And she knows that if she bows, if she bends, if she takes responsibility for wounds she did not cut, she will lose herself. So she does the most dangerous thing a woman can do in love. She remains sovereign. The descent into shadow. And here lies the paradox. The more he clings, the more she drifts away. The more he demands, the more she turns into silence. The more he tries to control, the more he loses the very essence he longs for. It is not punishment. It is initiation. The man is being asked to enter his own darkness, to confront the boy he abandoned, to embrace the tears he buried. Jung called it individuation, the process of becoming whole, of integrating the shadow rather than projecting it onto the world. And the feminine, through her quiet detachment, becomes the catalyst for this alchemy. Fourth turning point, the wound of abandonment. Nothing pierces deeper than the wound of abandonment. He carries it like an echo, the memory of doors closing, of footsteps fading, of arms that never returned. When a woman walks away, not in rage, not in drama, but in quiet dignity, she does not abandon him. She simply mirrors the place within him that has never healed. He may rage, he may beg, he may curse her name, but in the silence of night he knows what she left was not him, but the illusion that she could complete him. Fifth turning point, the wound of desire. Desire itself becomes a wound. For the more he wants her, the more powerless he feels. The more he imagines her as salvation, the more he fears her disappearance. And here lies the cruelest truth. Desire magnifies the emptiness it seeks to fill. The empowered feminine does not mock this. She understands it. She knows that his hunger is not truly for her body, nor her smile, nor her words. It is for the lost parts of himself, the fragments he left behind in childhood. He is not chasing her, he is chasing his own wholeness. Empowerment through detachment. And so, the question becomes, what does the woman do? She does not fix him. She does not collapse into the role of healer, mother, or savior. She simply stands in her own light. She becomes the mountain unmoved by storm, the ocean refusing to be contained. Her power is not in confrontation, but in presence. By not chasing, she forces him to meet himself. By not soothing, she forces him to hear the voice he has silenced. By not breaking under his projection, she forces him to reclaim what he abandoned. Her love is not withdrawal, it is truth, final assent, individuation and liberation. Some men will resist this initiation. They will numb themselves with conquest, with distraction, with the noise of endless pursuits. But others, those willing to descend into shadow, will rise different. They will see that no woman can heal what they refuse to face. They will discover that love is not possession, but reflection. And they will begin the long journey toward individuation, where the anima within is embraced, where the shadow is no longer feared, where the boy becomes whole and the man becomes free. And the woman? She does not wait for him. She continues walking, luminous in her own becoming. She knows her worth does not depend on whether he rises or remains broken. Her role was never to complete him, only to awaken him. The woman who walks away in silence isn't weak, she simply sees more.